Welcome to
Car Rides with Little Miss Gigi.
a place where girls like you will be inspired by godly stories.
Oh, look at those dolphins. They look so cute. Look!
Oh, wow!
That is so cool.
Oh, wow, look at the way they jump.
I had heard that dolphins can jump so high they could jump over a boat.
Ooh.
Imagine the photo that would be.
Ooh, maybe we can try to take it. Oh, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Valentina, and we have Poppy with us today.
Hello, girls. But not just me. Guess who else is here?
Mae Esther. And we are having an amazing sunny day. We're actually on a boat. We are sailing and it's beautiful weather.
I think Poppy looks a little bit green on her face.
Well, it is a lovely day, but I do feel a bit funny in the stomach. I never did like being on a boat.
Oh no, are you seasick?
I think I am a little.
Guys, we have bigger issues that we need to worry about. Look up.
What?
Oh.
Is that a black sky?
It looks stormy.
Oh no, we don't want to be caught in a storm.
Oh no, I can think my stomach's getting worse.
Oh no, Poppy, just hold it. Okay, we have to sail faster. Tell the captain to sail faster.
Okay, I'll go do that, and I might get Poppy a bag.
Yes, good idea. Okay, while you're there, I'll get Poppy to do her glitter box before she really needs the bag.
All right, girls, are you ready? This week in my glitter box, I have a special origami video. That's right. I have made a little boat that you can follow. All you have to do is follow the link below and you'll be able to see me making a video of a little origami boat. You can create maybe your own storm, put it on the water and have some fun. Oh no, my stomach's getting funny again. All right, girls, that's all from me. Bye.
Okay, I'm back. I told the captain that we need to sail faster. Oh no, did you hear that thunder? It was really, really loud.
Yes, that does not sound good. It's getting stronger. And I think Poppy's getting sicker.
Maybe we can get a story for Poppy to listen to so she's distracted.
Yes, I have the perfect story for that. Have you heard of Jesus and the Storm?
Yes, one of my all-time favorites.
Awesome. Okay, get ready. This is a good story.
Let's get into it.
Jesus Calms the Storm, written by Mae Esther. Jesus was tired. It had been a very long day of healing the sick and doing different kinds of miracles. Jesus was thinking that getting away for a little bit would be a great idea. A quiet place to be with his friends sounded just perfect in his mind. He looked at his friends, the disciples. They were busy talking to people and even ushering some away so they could get a break. Jesus shook his head. They had a good heart, but sometimes they did things the wrong way. Jesus didn't like to get rid of people. They needed him. He loved them all, even the ones that weren't very kind to him. Jesus walked over to his friend and placed his hand on Peter's shoulder. You know, I was thinking, he started to say, why don't we go to the other side of the lake? Peter's tanned face broke into a huge grin.
I think that's a great idea. I'll tell the others so we can get out of here. These people are a pain. They never leave you alone.
Peter scowled, and he looked at his surrounding and glared at some of the people watching him and Jesus talking. They shrinked away, afraid. Even men were scared of Peter's bad temper and burly figure. Jesus shook his head and his eyes saddened. Peter hung his head and apologized.
Jesus, I'm sorry. I know you love these people. I do. I always talk too much and say the wrong things.
With those words, Peter moved his solid body through the crowd and started gathering all the disciples. The sun was beginning to hide behind the mountains, and starlights were faintly twinkling in the distance. Jesus looked at the heavens and felt his heart soar. He closed his eyes briefly and talked to God. He loved talking to his Father. It brought him so much joy.
Jesus, we're ready. Peter's
booming voice broke Jesus' thought. He opened his eyes and looked at some serious, some smiling, and some weary faces. His disciples were also exhausted. They had had a very long day. Jesus nodded and they headed towards their boat. In the background, Peter and Judas were telling people to go home and rest. Slowly, people started dispersing. Some walked up the mountains, others got on their donkeys and started the trip home, while others got in their boats and started sailing down the lake. Jesus settled in their boat and breathed in deeply. The night was cool and still. He peered over the boat. The water was crystal clear, almost like glass. The serenity and peace of the evening settled his fatigued body, and soon he was getting sleepy. He couldn't sleep though, he needed to be awake and talk to his friends. Jesus looked around and noticed that a few boats were following him. He shook his head and smiled. The disciples also noticed the little boats following. Peter looked at his brother Andrew and motioned for him to hurry the boat. They really wanted their Lord to have a rest. Why couldn't people leave him alone for a bit? Peter scratched his head and sighed. It wasn't long before the wind started to pick up, making the boat sail faster. "The wind's picking up!" Andrew shouted. Thomas and James high-fived. Peter shouted with joy and John smiled. "Hey, I think the wind is getting rough," Philip said, looking in the distance. "No, you're imagining things," Thomas laughed. Thomas didn't believe things easily. He always demanded proof first. "The clouds are getting darker," Judas exclaimed, running towards the front of the boat and pointing to the sky. Suddenly, deafening thunder rumbled out of nowhere and everyone gasped. Peter groaned loudly.
I think we're entering a storm.
"Quick, put the best steerer at the helm," Bartholomew shouted.
Andrew, get behind the helm.
Peter pointed and Andrew hurried to do as his brother said. The lightning and thunder got louder and stronger. Booming, rumbling, roaring, and ear-splitting sounds surrounded them. Soon the heavens opened and rain gushed down.
Andrew, move towards the flat spots of the lake,
Peter commanded. "Look!" John exclaimed. The disciples looked to where John was pointing. A huge wave was lifting on the lake, and the wind seemed to be gaining power. Suddenly, the wind started roaring and picking up speed. The wind was furious. He hissed and roared and groaned and moaned. The disciples gaped at each other, eyes as round as plates. This was a very bad storm. Most of them were used to storms, but nothing like this. A dark cloud of fear hovered over them, and their hearts beat increased to 1,000,000 miles per hour. They were petrified. Thunder and lightning reverberated around them.
These breaking waves will cause the boat to roll,
Peter shouted above the strong wind. It was hard to see. Peter blinked quickly a few times, trying to clear the water from his face and eyelashes. He squinted, trying to see what happened to the other boats that had been following them earlier. Frustrated, he grunted. He could barely see from the thick curtain of rain. He spat water and wiped his drenched hair out of his eyes. His eyes and skin stung from the sharp, painful water shots. Their boat rocked back and forth. Waves were washing across the deck, and their little boat was quickly filling up. "Chuck the water out, men! We will drown if we don't!" Peter shouted and swayed towards the disciples. No one could stand straight. Everything was lopsided. The disciples started shouting orders to each other and tossing water out of the boat. But the more water they tossed out, the more that came in. Waves crashed against the wood of the boat, and they knew that soon it would shatter into 1,000,000 pieces. Their lives were in danger. "We're going to die!" Judas cried. "No, we won't!" John shouted, even though his face was pale. "Jesus will save us! Just think of all the miracles he has done!" At the mention of Jesus, Peter and a few of the other disciples looked around. No sign of him. No sight of him.
Oh no, oh no!
Peter swallowed hard. Had Jesus been swept overboard? Their eyes darted back and forth as they searched the furious dark waters below. There was no sight of him. "Last time I saw him, he was near the stern," Philip shouted above the roaring wind and pointed. John, who was smaller, rushed towards the stern. He slipped and tripped a few times, but he got up and tried again. It was almost impossible to walk in the horrendous storm. Finally, he reached the stern, and there, sleeping peacefully, was Jesus, his head on a pillow looking incredibly peaceful. John tossed his drenched hair off his face and shook Jesus. "Lord, save us! Lord, wake up! Save us!" He shook him a little harder. Behind him, Peter and Philip also shouted.
Lord, we're going to die! Save us! Wake up!
Their shouts were tossed and lost in the wailing of the wind and the lashing rain. He couldn't hear them. Suddenly, very slowly, Jesus stirred, but sat up quickly as he saw all the commotion around him and their petrified faces. Jesus' heart sank upon seeing their fear. Did they not have faith in him? "Jesus, help us!" they cried. Jesus moved towards the front of the boat. The disciples looked at each other. How could he look so calm? Jesus looked at the sky and extended his arms. "Enough!" His voice echoed and carried for miles away. The disciples felt goosebumps on their arms and they shivered. Even amongst the racket, his voice rang true and strong. "Peace, be still." Suddenly, the wind ran out of breath and the heaven's water taps shut down. The disciples exhaled. The clouds broke and a beautiful soft evening light illuminated them. The lake was back to stillness, and again it looked as clear and calm as glass. The soaking wet disciples stared at each other in awe. They were speechless, especially Peter, who usually had an opinion about everything. Jesus put his arms down and turned to his disciples. "Why were you so afraid? You are men of little faith. Don't you trust me?" Peter and the others looked at each other and hung their head, ashamed. Jesus went back to the stern, and the disciples stayed back, just staring at him, their minds whirling like crazy. Who was this man that even the wind and water obeyed him? What kind of man was he? Peter's eyes filled with tears. He blinked them back quickly and wiped his eyes. Then he whispered, "He is God." The disciples stared at him and nodded. They agreed. He was a God and a man, all in one.
Oh, thank you so much for that story, Esther and Valentina. That helped me so much. And just like in the story, the storm has gone.
And did anyone notice when we got to Jesus' bar and when he stopped the storm? It was like he was here. The storm just suddenly stopped.
Yes, it did. It's like Jesus was with us. Well, he's always with us.
Thanks for coming, girls, and listening to our adventure. And please visit us next time.
See you later, girls. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, girls. Don't forget to leave us a review and a rating.
Don't forget that you're Gigi, gorgeous in God's image.